Hello, mind friends. I'm Tom. Personally, I believe that every single one of us, every baby that was ever born, including you, is born rich. We come out of the birth canal completely, unbelievably stinking rich. Even if we're born into a family that is poor and is in debt and no money and all these crises going around, all of us are born completely, unapologetically rich and pure. Stick around for a minute. I have something that might be a breakthrough for you. Not just a change of mind, but an actual breakthrough. So consider this. When you're born, you don't have any bad ideas. You may not have any good ideas either, except how to breathe and other functions like that that just come normal for you. But from the moment that you are born, you're immediately, almost all of us, inundated with really bad ideas. We're given lots of love, most of us, which is fantastic. And that's the best thing ever, because that can be more of a setup for any kind of success and happiness and anything else. But outside of that, outside of the loving kind of nurture, we're just inundated with really bad ideas like, we can't afford this, we can't do that, don't have time, gotta pay the man, gotta pay the bills, gotta make the money. Inundated and surrounded with an environment of people that are highly medicated because of lazy lifestyle choices, obesity, disease, chronic debt, chronic illness, chronic obesity, chronic this and that, bad ideas, media coming in the house from news stations that are, the news is almost always on negative stuff, and just, that's what we experience coming right out of the birth canal. From then on, we go from being totally rich, this amazing brain, to being broken down, broken down, broken down. And by the time we are an adult, like 18 years old or whatever, we are so, well, I might as well go get a job. Go to school maybe, then get a job, which is the most, getting a job for the purpose of making money, and going to school, not to better yourself, that could be part of it, but to go to school for the purpose of getting a job for the purpose of making money, to have a job for the purpose of making money, I'll cut to it, is the most destructive idea in anybody's brain. It's a very poor idea. It makes no sense whatsoever. Time is this finite thing that we only get so much of until it expires, known as death. The time that we spent, we can no longer get back. Money? Money is this thing that is infinite. They cannot make it. They can't possibly print it any faster than they are today. You cannot save it or make it as fast as they are printing it. So in essence, when you're getting a job for the purpose of making money, you're selling your time. You're selling something that is precious and finite for something that is intrinsically worthless and infinite. And in any other area of your life, you would say that's crazy. You would absolutely not do it because it's just really stupid advice. But we take that same stupid advice and we apply it to how we afford our lives, how we pay our bills and put food in our mouths. We do things that we depend on for our survival and nurturing our family with that stupid concept of selling something that's precious and finite for something that's intrinsically worthless and infinite. That's how we pay our bills. That's how we put food on the table. That's how we raise our kids and all these other things like that. But we're born rich. And the reason I'm telling you this is because no matter what, all of us have a mind of our own. Typically, we sow what we reap. Instead of sowing and reaping, it's reaping and sowing. Right from the birth canal forward. We get all these things planted in our brain. The seed is sown, and we reap what we've been sown. Very few people will draw a line in the sand and become truly independent, free-thinking people. And when you have freedom of the mind, that's when you can achieve all other freedoms. Those other freedoms freedom of your time, financial freedom, your health, all these things don't happen until you adapt to freedom, or you accept, and you grow into freedom of the mind first. Then all those other freedoms can happen. So the reason I'm making this video is to get you to think differently about all these things, to think differently about your situation, why you're at where you are at, if you're not totally happy, if you're not free, if your time is shackled to the dollar, because if you stop perpetually stealing time from yourself, you stop having your ability to pay the bills and feed your family. If you're shackled to time and money that way, to where if you stopped working, you stop getting paid and you lose your ability to take care of yourself and nurture your family, that's a pretty bad place to be. And that's where 98% of the population is. And that same 98% of the population, 49 out of 50 people are dead or dead broke before they even reach 65 years of age, depending on the federal government, friends, and family as the main source of their income. That's crazy. And we're still operating on old ideas about money and work and debt and all these other things. Ideas that expired way back in 1971 when Nixon took us off the gold standard, and that led to a chain of events. But we're still teaching the same financial advice in our schools. And if you follow that advice, that pre-1971 advice that we're still teaching today, you'll absolutely end up poor. You'll end up in chronic debt, probably chronically diseased as well, because most poor people have chronic diseases. It's a way of thought that has like cross sections into every other sector of life. And you can be very good people. A lot of people without any money, a lot of poor people are extremely good people. So that's not what I'm talking about, just so you know, just so we're clear. I'm not talking about somebody's character, if they're loving, if they're a good person or not. I'm not talking about any of that. There's plenty of good people and bad people in all different financial classes, so that's not it at all. But the fact that there are so many good people who are in the middle and who are in the poor, it's kind of heartbreaking that you haven't been taught a real solid, current relevant financial education so that you can totally change your life. And it has nothing to do with the money. People who hear me talking about money, that are spiritual gangsters hear me talking about money, know that it has nothing to do with the money. The money is reasonably close to oxygen in terms of importance, but it has nothing to do with the money. It has everything to do with how you spend your time, the freedom that you have to spend your time, to put your energy and focus into creating experiences with people you love and care about, rather than having to put focus and energy and having to perpetually steal time from yourself to earn a paycheck. Because if you stop stealing time from yourself, you can no longer earn a paycheck. That's poor. That's an idea that you were not born with. You were given that idea after you were born. And that's what I mean by that, by you were born rich. All of us were. Nobody was born with that idea that you have to go to school to get a job for the purpose of making money. Nobody was born. That's an idea that was taught to us, and it was repeatedly enforced into our brain, pounded into our head for years and an entire lifetime. So it's like, well, no wonder we can't help but to think that way. But any one of you can draw a line in the sand, and some of you do, most of you won't. But some of you will draw a line in the sand and start asking questions instead of making statements. Most people will continue to make statements. Tom, that's too good to be true. Tom, you're full of shit. Tom, you don't know what you're talking about. Tom, you don't know what it's like to be me. You're right, I don't, but how long you want to stay there? Tom, I'm just telling it how it is. These are facts. You're right. Telling it how it is going to keep it how it is. Tom, you don't know what you're talking about. Tom, I just want to make statements I can't afford. Tom, I don't have time. Tom, excuse. A lot of you are shackled by money because you're shackled first by your excuses and your blame game and all these other things that you're hinging your happiness and success on that have nothing to do with the power of your amazing brain. Your brain is amazingly powerful. You might not have tapped into it. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But if you tap into the power of your amazing brain, your excuses, the blame game is gone, even if those are the facts of your scenario. Even if you used to compare yourself to other people. Comparing yourself to other people is really stupid, self-sabotaging. And it's also a bad ego trip. When you take the issue off of yourself, it's no longer about comparing yourself to other people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm fighting for the giant inside of you and your amazing brain that some of you have not tapped into yet. I'm fighting for you to become a free human being. And I'm ardently against the voice in your head that is making up the excuses, the statements, and all those things. The thing about excuses and statements and blame game is that you no longer have to think. So you're not even looking for answers because you've hung your hat up on these things, excuses, blame games, and so on, so that you no longer have to think. It's a poor and lazy way of thinking because you no longer have to think. When you ask questions, you replace all that nonsensical garbage with questions like, okay, I'm a free-thinking person. I was born rich. I was given really bad ideas by people that loved me and meant well. I love them very much, but they just gave me bad ideas because they didn't know either. It happens. But I'm a free human being. I have an amazing brain that I'm going to start tapping into. So I'm replacing all my excuses and comparing and statements and blame game stuff. And I'm gonna replace all this stuff with questions like, what has to change inside of me to be able to get what I want so I can create freedom? What books do I need to read? What kind of emotional maturing do I need to do? What kind of spiritual equipping do I need? What teachers do I need to learn from, mentors and so forth? You know, all these kinds of things. And maybe go from this ego trip of comparing myself and this ego trip of loathing myself, that is an ego trip, this ego trip of know-it-all, this ego trip of making the issue all about me, just telling it how it is, because I'm keeping it how it is. When you take the issue off of yourself and no longer make it about ego, then those things no longer matter. It's all about asking questions so that you can better yourself, because you realize you've been ripping off a bunch of people you were supposed to inspire by overcoming those problems. When you're making excuses and playing the blame game, you make it all about yourself, and everybody already knows how to make it about themselves. Everybody already knows how to hinge their success on anything outside of their brain. Everybody already knows how to go nowhere. Everybody already knows how to do those things. You're not going to inspire anybody to do anything. But if you step up and you be the rare person that stops doing those things, and you start asking the great questions, and you start a new direction in your life, and you become the person that you were born as, to be rich in every way possible, not just financially. You can be a bigger philanthropist, a bigger giver. You can have much more humility, more vulnerability, the freedom and the self-given liberation to be vulnerable, without worrying about protecting your self-image or your ego from getting hurt by people that don't approve of you. Who cares what they think? They have nothing to do with how your bills are going to be paid, or anything else for that matter. Who cares what they think? Some of you have an ego so big, you're willing to sabotage your future and rip off all those people you were supposed to inspire because you have an image you want to protect from getting hurt. That's horrible. Don't be addicted to that stuff, because that is one of the, in my opinion, the bigger ego trips to have, and a lot of people have it. But you're only human, so I'm not saying any of this to vilify any of you. I'm saying it to vilify the voice in your head that's killing you and robbing all those people you were supposed to inspire. That's the voice I'm vilifying, but not you. Never you. I'm on your side. So I hope this video inspires you to just draw a line in the sand, become a free-thinking person, and go back to what you were born to be, rich in every way possible, a bigger philanthropist, bigger inspiration, bigger leader. Step up and do it. You can do it. And just get rid of this ego. Get rid of this self-protection mode that doesn't work anyway. All right, if you got value from this, fireyourboss.xyz is my website. Not .com. I promise, go to fireyourboss.xyz. It really does exist. You'll see a big, beautiful website that pops up. You'll see me on it. You'll see thousands of pieces of content I've created over the years, thousands and thousands of more. Come and believe me, I work for free. I don't have a job. I don't want one. I don't need one. If I had a job, it wouldn't be for money, that's for sure, because that is the most destructive idea on planet Earth. But as it turns out, I don't want a job, so I'm not going to have one, and that's just a personal choice. Don't have a job, don't want one. I work for free. I don't work for money, and I never, ever will again. I haven't for a very long time now. So pick out whatever you need. I produce content very regularly. Thousands already up there, thousands more coming. If I got something that can help you out, go for it. You can count on me to not worry about protecting my ego from hurting, or protecting my self-image, or going for acceptance or approval. My stuff is raw, it's real. You don't even have to agree with it, but if it helps you change the way you think and helps put you on a better path, one that you enjoy more than the one that you're on now, perfect. That's awesome. Okay, so if you know somebody who'd like this message, click share. Please share it. A world so dominated with negativity, negative news, and negative news feed, social media and all that, people just, whatever, without even a positive aim. If you feel something like this is worthy to get out there so we can start dominating those negative messages, then share it if you'd like. If you know somebody who'd like this, share it. And fireyourboss.xyz. Next video coming soon, as always. I've already got the next ones planned out, idea-wise, unscripted, no script, just ideas I've got. Coming very soon. Take care, everyone. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.